Hello everyone, I am Alice Groves, a public school educator in Baltimore City, Maryland. This is my video response to the Module 1 discussion on disability rights. My understanding is that the institutionalization of the disabled in the early 20th century was thought to be the best for everyone at the time. People did not think the disabled had any goals in life, no dreams, and would be best in an institution. There were no programs for children in the schools, keeping them very isolated. It took very motivated disabled adults to realize that there should be equality for all, and the movement got started. In the civil rights movement, students organizing against the war in Vietnam taught the disabled the power of organizing. The demonstration and the sit-in in San Francisco were highly successful in bringing the needed attention to the issue of discrimination. It was this knowledge and persistence that forced the government to implement Section 504 and the eventual signing of the Americans with Disability Act by Bush. There were few programs prior to the 1980s that examined how disabled children could best be helped to learn. Initially, special education programs were delinquency prevention programs for the at-risk children who lived in urban slums. Urban school districts designed manual training classes as a supplement to their general education programs. Children were also taught social values in these classes. Early special education programs also focused on the moral training of African American children. Programs for these children with specific learning disabilities did become more common in the 1940s. However, more early special education programs were private for those who could afford and/or they were residential. The quality and availability of programs vary between and within states. And good special education programs were rare and difficult to access. And for most children with disabilities, special education programs were, and to this day, they still are not very available. Institutionalization was very common. And after the decision in Brown, parents of children with disabilities began to bring lawsuits against their school districts for excluding and segregating children with disabilities. And the parents argued that by excluding these children, schools were discriminating against the children because of their disabilities. And that was the beginning of a movement to improve the learning of the disabled. However, it took the demonstrations of the 70s and 80s to begin to see the disabled as individuals with needs, hopes, skills, and places that in the community that are valuable. The vision of the activists in the demonstration of the 70s was one of equity and equality. And they were striving for legislation under the Civil Rights Act that would provide them with life without discrimination. Persons with disabilities planned protests and went to court to fight against this oppression. The sit-ins and long-term takeover of the offices of the HEW, especially in San Francisco, were very successful. It gave everyone hope, but no one thought the discrimination would disappear. See, to me, in the video, I really think that there's one interviewee that says it very well, that discrimination does not go away easily. Right, we need to work at it. The Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, was signed into law on July 26, 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. It was considered emancipating because this federal law guarantees that all students with or without disabilities get a free, appropriate public education. In defining appropriate education, it was to include any related services that would assist in educating the child, i.e. speech, occupational therapy, technology, interpretation, and the list goes on. ESOL, right? The law would also require that students with disabilities be educated in the least restrictive environment possible. The IDEA also included parents in decisions about their children and provides them with due process under the law. Implemented and written down, it would truly emancipate children with disabilities. It's never easy to implement laws, especially in the areas of discrimination. To put this law into effect, it's necessary to have a dedicated and strong leader. The principal always plays a key role in their leadership. They need to involve the whole school community, including parents, teachers, all staff, and students. It requires encouraging committees to jointly solve problems and acknowledge the importance of inclusion, helping them identify strategies to make the school successful, providing opportunities for professional development that is meaningful. It's also important as a leader to create a community within the school where all teachers and staff share responsibility for inclusion. As a leader, it is important to encourage that all students create their own environment and with the teachers, right, and the staff, so that they can all believe that every student, every person in that building can be successful and the students can learn to their potential by encouraging and facilitating teacher, student, staff, family collaboration. In keeping a learning environment flexible so classes can be inclusive, we can avoid overwhelming one teacher with too many students in one room who need more individualized attention. And this can also be incentivized by a school-wide system that rewards behavior and social development. A lot to talk about, and I look forward to discussing it with you all. Thank you for your time.